Okay, the Celtic Hearts League Cup semi-final part of the doubleheader may now be moved. The backlash that the SFA and SPFL have faced in the last week, with the plans to have a doubleheader on the 28th of October on the Sunday, with Aberdeen kicking off at 12 against Rangers and Celtic kicking off at 7:45 against Hearts, has been visceral. 94% of people polled by a BBC Sport poll voted against staging the doubleheader. They were questioned, do they think it should go ahead or shouldn't? And 94% said it was a bad idea. It just shows how out of touch the SFA and SPFL are with the common football fan and the general public. It shows how badly run those organisations are, and it's a really bad advert for Scottish football, a sport, and a league and a league structure which is in crisis. There are issues within Scottish football. Many, and I've discussed them many times on live streams on this channel and other videos on this channel. But let's have a look at things in context. Aberdeen fans can't get to Hampden Park for the 12 o'clock kickoff if they take the train, which is where a lot of them want to do, is take the train down. ScotRail have been contacted by Aberdeen, and they are in discussions, but ScotRail have said we will try our best, but we may not be able to guarantee that we can put extra services on. Hearts then came out a day later with Craig Levine as the manager, and he also then said, well, our kickoff time at 7:45 is not appropriate because how are our fans going to get home? A lot of our fans, they're kids, they want to go to school, they've got to go to school the next day, or they are working men and women and have to go to work the next day. It's not fair on them. And he's right. He also highlighted security concerns. Now, he's an ex-player. He's obviously, was around when hooligan elements in the 70s, 80s and 90s were at their worst. The old firm, there's a sectarianism behind it as well. He coaches Hearts. Hearts Hibs, also sectarianism as well. It's just a baby version of the old firm of Celtic Rangers. But it's there. The 4 clubs involved in this doubleheader, there have been many clashes in the past between the hooligan elements of the clubs. And if you've got to think about it, 100,000 football fans descending on Glasgow, the majority of them are male. There will be a large amount of drinking taking place. You can see the recipe for even your average fan to have a bit too much drink, get in a fight. It happens. The recipe for violent disorder is there. And I'm sad to say it, but it is. It just shows the poor foresight that the SFA and SPL have. Murrayfield is available. It's in October, not November. If it was November, yeah, then you got the Autumn International Rugby. But Murrayfield is available, has a really good playing surface now, has had the money spent on the playing surface and being refurbed. It's a great stadium. It regularly hosts rugby union without fail, with no problems. Hampden has had many issues over the running costs, the suitability of the current stadium. It needs refurbing, possibly rebuilding, new investment in it. Many criticisms have been laid at Hampden's door for, it's an ageing stadium. Should it be the home of Scottish football as the national stadium, considering that Edinburgh is the capital, not Glasgow? But if the Celtic Hearts game gets moved, which I can see happening, that means the kickoff times should get moved. The fact that BT Sport had a big say on the kickoff times is a disgrace as well, which shows how weakly run the SFA and SPFL are. They're chasing after the money. The fans haven't been put first. The police have questioned the feasibility of policing this event. They've said this is going to be a very tricky event to police. It's a no-brainer. Everyone can see this was going to be a bad idea from the moment they suggested a doubleheader. It doesn't matter what clubs are involved. It could have been smaller fan-based clubs that got to the semi-final stage. Whoever was involved, it was a bad idea to allow, whoever came up with this idea really deserves to be sacked. They won't be. They'll probably got a bonus for coming up with an idea in a meeting. But whoever's behind the planning committee for the League Cup in Scotland or any kind of, and that Scottish Cup in Scotland, any kind of cup competition in Scotland is an idiot. The SFA have shown themselves to be a really weak governing body of a sport, and the SPFL have shown themselves to be incompetent. Well, that's my view on it. But fingers crossed, one of these ties gets moved. I would prefer actually Aberdeen Rangers to get moved. If I was the one moving a fixture, I'd move that one. I'll kick off both games at the same time, and I'll go to high heaven with the TV money. It can sod off. The fans need to be put first for once. It won't happen, but they need to be. And the governance of the game in Scotland really needs looking at, and there needs to be an inquiry into why and how bad this has got. Because if members of the Scottish Parliament, members of the Westminster Parliament are now getting involved and saying this is not right here, this is a shambles, it says something. If 94% of football fans polled say this is a bad idea, including Celtic and Rangers fans who are agreeing on something, God, the world has stopped turning. That says something is seriously wrong. The risk of violent disorder is there. The security risk, the police can't guarantee everyone's safety because it's a massive public event. The transport infrastructure cannot cope already. ScotRail have said they will try their best, but they can't promise anything. Put these extra services on because they've got to find staff to now work on a Sunday, which means they've got to pay them double time. Oh yeah, all this has got to be. It seems that the SFA and SPFL don't live in the real world. But there we go. Hopefully Celtic Hearts gets moved. I've given my views on it. I think it's a bad idea. I always thought it was a bad idea. And I'm not a Scottish football fan, but I can see nothing but problems. This is a real bad PR disaster for Scottish football as well. And if it does go ahead, you can see the chaos in the headlines and the news coverage of the failure that will be, which is not what Scottish football needs. Scottish football needs a positive story, some positive outcomes, so that will get people interested in Scottish football again, and outside investment coming in, which it desperately needs. This is not the way to go about it, by not respecting the fans, thinking of them last, if not at all. Two of the four clubs involved have openly already criticised the plan for the doubleheader. I wouldn't be surprised if someone at Celtic and Rangers also comes out and says, actually, this is a bad idea. We'll see what Brendan Rodgers and Steven Gerrard have to say. The managers of Aberdeen and Hearts have come out and said, hang on a second, this is stupid. We'll see what Gerrard and Rodgers have to say. I wouldn't be surprised if they're actually thinking the same thing, but they dare not say it because their clubs are based in Glasgow, not outside. And where's the games being held? Glasgow. But there we go. I'll leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave your thoughts below. I'll be very interested to hear from Scottish football fans across the board. Doesn't matter what club you support. And I'll have some more videos for you soon. And please like and subscribe. I'll speak to you later.